If you opened an official CrossFit affiliate, and then the next week some clowns that know nothing about fitness open a gym next door and are claiming it's CrossFit and it's damaging your business, you would be praying for a cease and desist. The battle to protect the name CrossFit is nothing new. Greg Glassman would have a cease and desist in the post for anyone that was unassociated with CrossFit that even mentioned it in their sleep. Yet this month, it seems more than ever, we've been talking about the use of the hashtag CrossFit and what happened to Vindicate, as some feel that Travis was unfairly sent a cease and desist. So I want to look in more detail at that example because there are actually two different elements that we can look at with what happened to Vindicate, but then look at the bigger issue. Why is CrossFit so aggressive in sending out cease and desists? Why does it seem like they would go after friend and foe alike? And why, even if it's a losing battle, it's one they still have to fight? And why not finish up by giving a little bit of information that will allow you to actually your coach or affiliate owner when they make this very common mistake. So the example I used at the start of it, a gym opening up next door claiming to be CrossFit, it's very easy for us to see how CrossFit sending them a cease and desist would be protecting the affiliate owners, those that are actually paying to have that name CrossFit. And of course, when someone is paying that affiliate fee, it is not just so they can have a sign on the door of their gym that says CrossFit, but it's allowing them to put that on their merchandise, on their social media posts. And this is where the Vindicate issue comes in. Now, I know that Scott from Clydesdale Media did a Scott Riffs on this topic, and he was just talking about the way hashtags work on social media and how they enable people to find specific information. And that's why people seem to take issue with Vindicate getting a cease and desist. How can CrossFit claim they own a hashtag? Well, let's go back again to the idea of that affiliate owner. What are they actually paying for? Why do they want to have access to that name CrossFit? Well, one of the things they're paying for is search engine optimization. If you type in CrossFit and the name of the city you're planning to go to, those official CrossFit boxes, well, they should definitely be the first ones that show up on a Google search. Likewise, if I'm a brand that's paying CrossFit to have a deal with them, I would want my posts showing up when people search CrossFit. But hold on a minute. Didn't Hiller in his video highlight that there are a number of companies that are clearly unassociated with CrossFit, yet are getting away with using their hashtag? Well, yes, no doubt that will be the case. Just typing in hashtag CrossFit apparel and you've got more than 53,000 posts. Not to mention just putting in CrossFit by itself, you're getting almost 70 million posts. So it's clearly a losing battle, but one that CrossFit still have to fight. And we will come back to why that is later. Now, Scott also mentioned that Clydesdale used the hashtag CrossFit when they're promoting their podcasts and media. As do I, as does The Morning Chalk Up, Talking Elite Fitness, and many others. But that's okay. That would be considered fair use. We are reporting or commentating on things going on within CrossFit. We have to be allowed to use CrossFit in those cases. Generally, this is considered fair use. And if we think about it, with all the trademarks we have in the world, with all the different media that need to be able to report on that, if they were not allowed to mention or use the trademarked name of companies or products, it would be impossible for us to ever report clearly on things and really learn the truth. That being said, there is also a grey area here. Because, for example, somebody sent me this post. So theoretically, it would be fine for the meme page to be using the hashtag CrossFit as its parody or satire or commentary on the CrossFit space. But the lines start to blur when they are promoting a product or apparel or something that CrossFit would generally go after someone for using the trademark. So in this case, is it fine, or should CrossFit be sending a cease and desist? You tell me. Individuals are also free to use the hashtag CrossFit. So if you just finished a WOD with your friends, and of course, unless you put it on the gram, it doesn't count as fitness, feel free to throw up the hashtag CrossFit. Likewise, a day at the beach, we all know you've got to post a picture of you doing a handstand, otherwise you might have your CrossFit license revoked. Well, once again, feel free to add that hashtag CrossFit. Once again, the reasoning in these cases is you're just an individual. You're not a company. You are not selling or promoting a product. That being said, I know of a case where an individual who owns a clothing company as well as a gym that is not a CrossFit affiliate is not allowed to use the hashtag CrossFit on their personal account because their personal account is used to promote their clothing brand and their gym that are not affiliated with CrossFit. So Even there, the lines can blur a little. So Vindicate is not the first company to receive a cease and desist for using the hashtag CrossFit. Just ask around. If you've got friends that are a small independent clothing brand, there's a good chance they will have received a cease and desist. And while we might not like it, we understand why it happens. But again, when we look at the numbers, we realize it's an impossible fight. So why are CrossFit going after people? Or more importantly, why do they go after those that are actually trying to support CrossFit? Well, simply put, in the legal world, if CrossFit want to protect their brand, they have to at least demonstrate that they are trying their best, even against insurmountable odds. So while they might not be able to stop everyone from using that hashtag CrossFit who shouldn't be, they can at least demonstrate that they are doing absolutely everything they can to make sure people are not using it. So unfortunately for someone like Travis at Vindicate, his association with Hiller and Savan probably just meant there were too many eyeballs on what he was doing, so there was no way CrossFit could ignore it. That, or simply people have been reporting him through the CrossFit website. And that's something you can do. If you see a company that is misusing the CrossFit name, you can actually go and report it. It's a bit like when they were checking for team eligibility. CrossFit relies on the community to let them know when people are doing things they shouldn't be. Now, generally, when a company receives a cease and desist from CrossFit, pretty much all they need to do is go through, well, potentially hundreds of posts and remove that hashtag. But the interesting thing in the case of Vindicate was that he also had to stop selling the Respect the Roots merchandise. Now, if you don't know the story behind that, basically Noble have put out a shirt that people that do the L1 can get that has a quote on it from Greg Glassman. The problem is that they do not attribute that quote to Greg Glassman. And when people saw this, they were unhappy, and the response in the case of Vindicate was to put Greg's quote on another shirt and give him the credit for it. Now, the issue here is that CrossFit claim they own that quote, and their evidence for that is because they used it in a tweet in 2012. They used it again in 2020 with another tweet where they actually attributed it to Greg Glassman, CrossFit founder. Now, I'm no legal expert, so I'm not sure how solid a case CrossFit would actually have, and maybe if Vindicate hired a Harvey Specter type lawyer, he could potentially be allowed to keep selling that t-shirt. But then when we think about the number of t-shirts he'd have to sell to be able to justify the legal expenses, we understand why that's a route he's not going to go down. Although if he did get a lawyer, he could also have them look into the no rep shirt that Noble sent a cease and desist about, because I wonder at what point that would be considered parody. Another fun fact about the launch of these t-shirts is that Travis actually gave away a free CrossFit Level 1. So you would think surely CrossFit should be on his side. He is doing his best to support the company. Unfortunately, in the eyes of the law, it's very much all or nothing. If you let some people use your trademark without intervening because you like what they're doing, it makes it very hard to stop others using it down the line. If a lawyer can point to examples where CrossFit knowingly did not protect their trademark, it puts them in a really bad position if they're trying to stop someone else. And then finally, there is this point of CrossFit just becoming a generic term like Band-Aid, or I suppose more aptly within the fitness space, things like yoga or Pilates. Well, that would actually be a very bad thing, because if it does pass to just being this generic term, it's going to make it really hard for CrossFit to protect that trademark. And that means, what are you paying that affiliate fee for? And yes, on the one hand, we could think, well, that's just going to save those gym owners money if they're not having to pay that fee to CrossFit. But it also means we have no confidence in dropping into a box that claims to be a CrossFit gym, whether or not they're really doing CrossFit, whether they really support the methodology. And I mentioned in that previous video a load of crazy rules CrossFit has for how we have to use the word CrossFit. And of course, they cannot police the entire community. But affiliate owners should be following those guidelines. So the next time the affiliate owner or your coach tells you you're the worst CrossFitter at the box, you can tell them you're not. You're actually a terrible CrossFit athlete. So is CrossFit just overzealous when it comes to shooting off cease and desists, or is this what they need to do to protect the affiliate owners for the very thing they're paying for?